D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about Grace Randolph. But before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is going to do their annual bot purge and old account cleanse, and there usually is a little bit of collateral damage. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I would like to thank you in advance because I really do appreciate it. So who is Grace Randolph? Grace Randolph is a pretty popular YouTuber. She's got over 900,000 subscribers on YouTube and almost 90,000 followers on Twitter. Her YouTube channel, Beyond the Trailer, has become wildly popular among its members and among people that love to hate on Grace Randolph. Now, originally this video was going to just be a video of me looking at all the scoops, or a lot of the scoops, that Grace Randolph has reported in the past on, and just tallying up the right ones and the wrong ones. But as I started to go on, I started to read a lot of stuff, and there was a much more interesting video, in my opinion. So we're going to chit-chat about it. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a huge Grace Randolph fan. I want to be very transparent and not be disingenuous with you. I am a huge fan. I enjoy her videos, and I think that she's a positive personality on YouTube amongst the throng of negativity. Plus, I'm not gonna lie also, I love all the scoops that she gives. I mean, I love her hot takes, I love her insight, I love all that stuff. I mean, she is someone that knows the business, and that part is really interesting to me. I mean, she went to school for film, and she studied at a New York University Tisch School of Arts, and was part of the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is where she gets her I think she gets her caustic wit, and I love that about her. And I think, you know, I really love that she has a knowledge of what she's talking about, and she's not just talking out of her ass. And I think that that's something that is good compared to these people that just get on here, like myself, who don't work in the business or in the industry in some way, shape, or form, but they get on here and they give their opinion, and I really enjoy that about her. So a lot of people are going to say that I'm just being a simp for Grace Randolph. And so we should take a look at what a simp is and everything. Let me just pull that up real quick. Okay, what does simp mean? Simp is a slang insult for men who are seen as too attentive or submissive to women, especially out of a failed hope of winning some entitled sexual attention or activity from them. Translation: the word simp is meant to troll young men for doing anything for a girl to get some action he supposedly deserves. While much older as a term, simp massively trended among late 2019 and early 2020 due to part to TikTok trend among male members of Generation Z called Simp Nation. I hate TikTok and Generation Z. Anyways, the slang has been criticized for stereotyping such men as effeminate, oh, I'm totally effeminate, implies women are manipulative sexual objects. However, the term is also evolving some more general sense of like, okay, so basically a simp is somebody that pays a content provider for, you know, sexual favors that they think they deserve that they're never gonna get. And now personally, I don't like the term, but you know, I'm also not sensitive about it because I'm pretty sure some of you are typing down below right now that I'm just simping for Grace Randolph, but I'm not. I don't want any sexual relationship with Grace Randolph, and I'm happily married man to a girl, and I pay for a Beyond the Trailer membership, not because I'm looking for anything sexual, it's because I want entertainment, and Grace Randolph provides the entertainment that I am looking for. I have memberships to other YouTubers because they give me the entertainment that I'm looking for. If Grace Randolph stopped providing entertainment that I was interested in, I would not have a membership, and I would stop watching her videos. But you get these people that think that as soon as a man likes a female content provider, then no matter what, he's simping. And he just wants to get laid by this female content provider, which is true in some cases. I'm not saying that there isn't any that are like that. I'm just saying that not all would even, I don't know as far as like, I don't even know what the percentage would be, but I'm just saying not all men that watch female content providers are looking for sexual favors for them. And I'm not saying that all men that do watch female content providers aren't looking for anything sexual out of them. I'm just saying I'm not. And just because a man likes a woman YouTuber or, you know, Twitch streamer or whatever, doesn't mean that they're simping for them. It just could mean that they like their content like I do. So, back to Grace Randolph, the woman. Grace Randolph is a comic book writer, but is best known for her YouTube channel Beyond the Trailer. She's written Justice League Unlimited, X-Men Nation X, and the original comic book called Superbia. I've read a couple of Grace Randolph's comic books, and I quite like her as a comic book writer. I wish she would do more. Now, Grace launched her channel in 2008, and her weekly segment Movie Math, a segment which covers box office performance, has become a regular tradition for fans and people interested in film and the film industry. I personally do like Movie Math. I think it's very interesting. Now, from 2010 to 2011, Grace Randolph was the host of Marvel's web show The Watcher, which she was fired from. Bummer. So, as of September 2020, Grace has over 733 million video views on her channel. So, there's no denying that Grace Randolph is highly successful in her realm, being the only female in the Scoops game. But with all the successful people comes the haters. Now, let's pull up some of these tweets, because I'll tell you right now, I was reading through these before I started this video, and people are anyways. So, I haven't said it in a while, so I'll say it now. Grace Randolph is a dumb and I can't believe she has actual stands. That's harsh. Anyways, Grace Randolph is a disgusting and subjective film critic who hates talented and successful people, specifically women. She is a jealous She only cares for clicks and subscribers. At Grace Randolph, die. Let me join in. Grace Randolph is a oh gosh, a lot of bitches. Jesus. Suck it, Grace Randolph, you Okay, wow. I noticed, okay, all right. Is anyone surprised that Grace Randolph decided to be a contrarian and be a tasteless on Carrie Fisher's death? She deleted that too. So Twitter suspends you when you call a racist a racist. Yeah, looking at you, Grace Randolph. Oh, well, you're from an Android, so you need to get your money up because you're poor. How y'all still giving attention to that stupid Grace Randolph, knowing full well it's what she craves? She legit does this to get higher content interactions. Also from an Android. Poor. Okay. Never liked Grace Randolph since she moaned about Deadpool not being PG-13. Dumb. Android again. Man, you guys need to get your money up. Literally, what the is wrong with her? I thought maybe she wants to appeal to certain boys and men by being childish against women, but I honestly think she, one, hates women who are talented, beautiful, and far more successful than she is, and two, thinks she herself is hot. I mean, doesn't everybody think they're hot? That's, okay, whatever. Anyways, Disgrace Randolph, I saw that a lot of people called her Disgrace Randolph. So, Disgrace Randolph really called Florence Pugh and Rachel Weisz fat. Well, I mean, she was talking about and they put a screenshot up here. She's talking about the Black Widow. Yeah, they looked fat. Whatever. Anyways. So, it's very clear that certain people don't like Grace Randolph. And, hey, some people, like these people, have character flaws. So for this next part, what I want to do right now is I want to go over some of Grace's scoops. Now, she's always said that, you know, she's got a great track record with her scoops, and she's always said that her contacts are really good and everything, and we're just gonna go over some of the stuff. Now, this you can look at this objectively or subjectively. Personally, I thought that I would be too biased, so I let someone else who does not like Grace. I sent them to these, and they pretty much agreed with me on everything. So I thought that was good enough for this. Now, you are not, if you don't like Grace, you're probably going to say that I'm wrong, but whatever. So let's take a look at these scoops. Some of these I went through. Most of these are from 2019. Just because I went back through some live streams. I also went back through some of her videos and stuff like that. So I could get kind of a more broader picture. So here we're going to start off with the first one. We're going to start off with Frozen 2. And I will have the dates of when these scoops came out and then when the evidence. So this is the first one.
I have a hard time believing that it's true. But I heard a rumor today, let's say, that in Frozen 2, Elsa will sacrifice herself. And as a result, everything that she's created will go away and Olaf dies.
So now here's the evidence.
Like the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, I have some friends.
Oh, yeah, no, this is the first time she said it on July 9th, 2019.
I hope that's not true. But I'm just, I have no way to back that up. I'm just telling you what I heard from one of my sources. Okay. And I'm just very surprised. I also heard that Elsa's mother has had powers, and that's part of. So this is the first time she's brought it up on July 9th, 2019. Just the buzz that's going
then a couple days later on the 14th, she said this.
About behind the scenes tea, some other information has come to my attention. And it seems that maybe the Frozen 2 stuff that we discussed recently is not going to happen. It seems, I can't really go into it because
things changed.
Information off the record, but just let me tell you that some changes are being made to Frozen 2. That's all that I'm going to discuss with that.
Okay, so obviously, so then November 5th, she put out this.
All right, so what I'm hearing about Frozen is that Elsa kind of dies or sacrifices herself and becomes the Snow Queen.
So here's the proof. On November 22nd. Now she first gave this in July.
So she can no longer be the Queen of Arendelle. So that means that Anna becomes the Queen of Arendelle, which I feel Anna's.
So here's Anna as the Queen. So, correct.
The spoiler I heard before was that Olaf was going to die.
Okay.
But I've heard the movie's been significantly reworked. I love you.
So he did die, but not permanently. So she was correct on that. The person that I asked was actually like, no, he died. He died. I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure. So he died, and there's the proof there in the pudding.
Anyway, those are the spoilers that I've been hearing. So those movies, of course, come out very soon. And be careful with that stuff. Be nice and keep it to yourself.
Which I did keep it to myself, just not now because it's way past it. So then I want to move over, over to Star Wars Episode 9. Now because that same day that she gave some Frozen tea, she also gave some Star Wars tea. So here we're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so the Star Wars things that
this happened on the 5th.
Is that Kylo Ren decides to be good.
Okay.
So he becomes good, and he and Rey fight Palpatine, who, it turns out, this is what I'm hearing, is Rey's grandfather. So she's actually, I don't know when Palpatine had time to have kids, but she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
So here's the proof, December 20th.
You are the Palpatine.
So stupid.
And then she decides to say she doesn't want to have the Palpatine name, so she decides to take on the Skywalker name, and she becomes a Skywalker.
Who are you?
So this is from the movie after she already gave the scoop. Right.
Rey who? Rey Skywalker.
Rey Skywalker. So stupid.
I also heard that maybe Kylo Ren dies. I haven't heard that for sure, but that's kind of what I'm hearing a little bit, which I think, I don't know.
And then Kylo Ren dies. So she's correct on that. And everything. So I know a lot of people, again, want to say that she's not correct and that she lies. But I mean, clearly, right now, I'm throwing up proof. So the next one I want to talk about is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride, which she gave out, I believe, on September 19th. She said this.
Tea, says Hugo? I have a little bit of tea for you. I've heard from some sources that the reason that they've held back on the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride is that A, it's not working as the way it should, and
which
B,
is legit.
And apparently, this is what I heard from someone actually who works at the park. that there's a spoiler in it for episode 9. So they couldn't open the ride before the movie came out, which is weird.
Now, I want to say before I show the clip of what... the only thing is, I went through the whole... There's videos online of the ride, of people that went through it. You can go and watch them yourself. This is the only evidence that I could find that was like a spoiler. So it's this video right here.
We have transports waiting to take you to General Organa's secret base on Pucara. I'll regroup with you there. Remember, it is vital that you keep the location of the Pucara base secret.
So it was the planet Pucara, which their base was on, which I'm going to say that she was wrong on this one, because I'm sorry, but, that's not a spoiler that the base is on a specific planet. I couldn't find anything else. I even tried, Googling it. I researched it very heavily, but I Googled it, and I'm sorry, that one was wrong. Okay. So her source was wrong on the spoiler thing. The whole thing about it not working it could be legit, because they have electronics people in there, but if that's not working the day of, they just do like a video screen, and that's how they do it. So the next scoop I want to run over to is Spider-Man Far From Home, the scoop from that. Now, I'll talk about the last one and everything. We'll get into it a little bit, but here she is on June 4th.
By the way, take it with a grain of salt.
Giving this one
test screening, okay? Grismeyer, so put it on mute. Grismeyer guessed it. There's no multiverse apparently. Okay,
so there's no multiverse, and that was June 4th.
That's what I heard. This is all a lie from Mysterio. So that's what I heard from the test screening.
Okay, and so then on July 2nd, the movie came out, and here it is. It's all one big lie from Mysterio, and you see these holograms going away. So there's that. That one's, All right, so then the next thing she said was this.
Right, so,
this was June 25th.
What I've heard, just to let you know, I have not seen the movie myself yet, but what I've heard is that there are 2 end credit scenes. One, sees the return of J.K. Simmons.
Okay, and then here's the clip from the movie. J.K. Simmons did return.
Spider-Man was responsible for the brutal murder of Mysterio.
See, so correct.
And who will no doubt go down in history as the greatest superhero of all time.
So that's very cool. The other one
very cool
is Secret Invasion.
And she's correct. There's also an invasion show coming out, but here they are. The Skrulls transforming.
I'm not going to tell you who it is, who's a Skrull. You can kind of guess if you've looked at my tweets today, but I gotta
and she did tweet that day.
As you can see, you guys now have incredible...
So the last thing I want to talk about is this last thing that she said a little while ago.
All over the internet. But you can now see why I was so nervous about it, right? And by the way, I do hear that Oscorp is coming to Spider-Man 3. They just took it out of this movie because it had leaked and from numerous places, not just me, that it was...
It did. Now...
So
I want to talk about that. A lot of people want to give her crap because of the Oscorp thing. And she should be noticed that I'm going to count this as correct. Now, the Oscorp thing, she's not the only one that said it. So I kind of go, people were kind of being a little harsh when it came to that because she's the only one that gets credited for lying about it. But other people had scooped that Oscorp was going to be in it. And it's when Spider-Man's like slinging through the city. The Avengers Tower has an Oscorp sign on it. And that was going to be like the Easter egg of it. And like she just said there, it's going to be in Spider-Man 3. So we'll have to wait and see on that last bit. But for the rest of it, she was correct. So this next one has got a little bit of controversy, which we'll talk about later on in this video. But this one is Birds of Prey. Now, she put out a whole video about this, and we'll talk about it piece by piece, scoop by scoop. So this first one, all this is from her video.
Basically,
so this is on July 10th.
Be at times flamboyantly gay in this movie, obsessed with art, is what my source said.
Okay, so here he is in this one. Now, we'll address this in just after this clip, but this happened on February 7, 2020. He's obsessed with art and very flamboyant.
living room. Ooh, I love it.
Also, I've heard that now.
So now this is September 19th.
We'll see.
On a
what
live
I'm hearing is that in the re-edit of Birds of Prey, Black Mask is now bisexual.
So he's no longer gay, he's
Jealousy
bisexual.
between Victor Zsasz and Black Canary, who Black Mask is flirting with both of them.
So now if you watch these little things, there's no sound on it, but Victor Zsasz is very like touchy-feely, very flirty-esque, you know, very smiley. I mean, you can see him smiling a lot, you know, calming him down. He does get jealous in the movie of Black Canary. You know, they're very like very close and everything. Very much more than a bromance. So here's from the video.
Sandra Kane eats a diamond to hide it from him. Now,
and of course, she eats the diamond in the movie. So right now we're going good. We're going gone.
Or that it has important criminal information.
Okay, so here's the part that I want to talk about.
The reveal is that it's actually pics of his private parts that he doesn't want anyone to see.
Now, if you notice right here, she strategically uses a statue of Michelangelo's David with a card over his private parts. And then later, and this was July 10th and everything. But then a little while later, which we'll talk about this whole tweet and everything, but on May 31st of 2020, Kathy Yan confirmed in a tweet that so she said this is not true. And we'll talk about this whole tweet later on in the video, but she said, this is not true. There has never been any discussion around the size of Roman's dick. I can't believe I even have to write that. The original script called for an image of Roman as Michelangelo's David. Notice back on that clip, Michelangelo's David. You know, art. If that's a dick pic, then the Louvre is full of them. So she confirmed that there was a picture of a statue, and I think that it's clever on Grace's part to use that statue in that. Now, that one, you can take it as yes or no, but I'm counting it as a yes, so suck it. All right, so the next one I want to go into is this one, and that's for Wonder Woman 1984. Now, she has done a lot of coverage on this one, and I'll talk about something else in this one. After I talk about all these clips and everything. So let's start off with the first clip. And this one happened in a video on October 17th, 2018. Now this one you might not count it. We're just going to go over it a little bit. Now she confirms in this video that Pedro Pascal is playing Maxwell Lord.
None other than Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 1984.
Now, other people had said that she that had said that it was rumored and they had guessed at it, but she confirmed it in that video. Now, you might not count that. That's fine. That's totally fine on your part. I wouldn't judge you for not counting that one. So let's get into this one again. October 17, 2018.
I can also confirm to you that Steve Trevor is returning all of the film Heaven Can Wait, where what that means is that Diana and maybe a few others, right, can see Steve Trevor, but everyone else sees the formerly dead body his spirit is currently inhabiting.
Okay, so then she also said in a tweet in June 20 of 2018, she said, okay, non-believers, here's two things I heard real Wonder Woman 1984. Steve is in someone else's body, so when Wonder Woman kisses him, she sees Steve Trevor, but he's actually kissing another guy. And then she says some more stuff, but I just want to focus on that main part now, and then we'll go to the movie, which came out December 25th of 2020. And as you can see, everybody else sees somebody else, but Diana sees Steve Trevor. So
I also heard that one of the ideas they were kicking around for the movie is that Steve Trevor, while he's back, would help Diana borrow an experimental jet from the military, aka her invisible plane.
That was October 17th.
Idea. We'll see if they still kept it. Oh, Alex,
and then on June 12th, 2019, and during live stream, she said this.
I'll tell you how I heard it was going to make an appearance, since this is like technically off the record. So also, please note, this might have changed since then, because this is the people I know were talking to about Wonder Woman when it was like before they were filming. Okay, so hopefully maybe someone was like, "Don't do it, Patty Jenkins." So there's supposed to be an experimental jet in the movie that seems invisible on radar. And that's like the invisible
so this is obviously a
and then also I had heard that the invisible plane was going to be
October
in the movie.
7th.
which was actually, I had heard that it was an invisible, it was a military secret, top secret jet that was able to go invisible to radar. So that's how it was invisible. That's what I'd heard. But then I heard from, you know, this test screening that leaked that actually Wonder Woman has the ability to make things turn invisible. And so she turns the plane invisible, and then they fly past some fireworks. And I'm like...
So here it is from the movie. And so that right there, you know, and you saw the movie. I'm only putting little clips in it, but she flies past fireworks, the invisible jet. She does turn it invisible herself. And the invisible jet is not from the military. They did borrow it, and it's not an experimental jet. But like she said early on, it was. So then I want to go back to that tweet that I showed you earlier. From July 20th, 2018. And like I said, it says, okay, non-believers, here's two things I heard. Real Wonder Woman 1984. Steve Trevor is in someone else's body. So when Wonder Woman kisses him, she sees Steve Trevor, but is actually kissing another guy. And she can fly by lassoing the wind. These were development ideas could have changed. Now, let's go on to the next thing. If you notice, and then we'll go to the next clip is her.
I heard that Patty Jenkins picked some other stuff, like she doesn't actually fly, but she can lasso the wind with her golden lasso.
And here she is riding lightning. And I didn't include a clip, but I'm including a picture of her when she twirls it, and she, you know, she lassos something, but she ain't lassoing anything. I can see an actual thing. She does lasso a plane, but what's the first thing she lassos? Anyways, then she uses as a helicopter kind of thing. So that's correct. Anyway, so here's October 7th, 2019, another scoop. Here
I knew a lot about what they had done with the movie from my sources, okay? So I knew that they were going to do Maxwell Lord having some wishing stone.
And he does have a wishing stone in the movie.
I also have heard she wears her full-on gold
There's
armor
March
with the
19th,
wings
2018.
and the American flag as a scarf from the comics. I don't know if she's going to keep the American flag as a scarf. It could look cool. I don't know, though.
She does not keep the scarf.
I'm really nervous. I think we got to see it.
But she does, if you look, she does have the gold armor in the movie. So she was correct on that. And the gold armor really looks good. I love it with the helmet and everything. So then...
and apparently she also will fly towards the end of the movie.
And here she is flying in the end of the movie. So, I mean, right there is Grace being correct again. And I just want to point out this. So this is a picture of just the top of it, because just in case you want to say that I was incorrect. A lot of this stuff came out before this. And this was on Reddit. This is a post on Reddit, and it's Wonder Woman 1984, the entire movie synopsis. And if you notice the date on it, it's December 7th, 2019, which is after Grace had put out all her scoops. So she didn't get it from this Reddit post, just in case you wanted to say that. So for my last scoop that I want to talk about, I want to go into, real quick, I want to talk about Wonder Woman 1984 and the scoop that it was going to be Flashpoint. Now, was she wrong on that? Yes, but at the same time, and you can go and read articles, I'll leave some down below. You can go and look that they significantly changed the movie in the third act. So they could have totally changed that, like they did, for instance, the experimental jet, and that it's invisible to radar. So you could say she was wrong on that one. That's fine. But I'm not going to. So, because things change. So the last scoop I want to talk about is the Haunted Mansion. So she had
this morning.
said
Hey,
this
Hugo.
in a live stream.
Source really came through this morning with a bunch of Disney Plus tea. I'll give you some Disney Plus tea here. I didn't tweet out, but you know, I don't know if anyone else has talked about this. This other thing I'm going to tell you,
June 1st,
but it seems that Disney Plus is developing a Haunted Mansion show, which
Haunted
would
Mansion
make
show.
me so happy.
And then she later on tweeted out this, and she said, on today's live stream, I talked about both a Haunted Mansion show and an animated Enchanted Tiki Room show in development for Disney Plus. Remember, a lot of scripts are being developed now because everyone is stuck at home. And she puts the crystal ball gif there. And then, and then after that, it was announced by it was announced that Haunted Mansion movie in the works with writer Katie DePold. I don't know if you have to say that. And I believe that was for Hollywood Reporter. So those are all my scoops. And I mean, like, if you look at, I mean, like, the only one that she like blatantly got wrong was the Rise of the Resistance Star Wars ride at Disneyland. So I just want to say, like, I honestly feel like out of, and that's like what, 90% correct. You know, she's 90% correct, 95. I don't know what the math is. I'm not good with math. But I mean, like, listen, this is clear evidence that she's good at her job and that she tells the truth. There's also one scoop that I'm going to go into in the next part of this video. But as far as the scoops go, I'm sorry. She's reliable. She's accurate. I mean, you know, things do change. But as far as this goes, I've just given you proof. You'll still, haters are going to hate. And so if you don't like her, automatically you're just saying that, you know, you're trying to spin it into she's wrong. But I've just shown you evidence. So there's that. All right, so for this next part, what I want to do is I want to go over some controversies that Grace has been involved with over the years, and I want to focus on 3 of them, and we'll just go over some stuff, we'll talk about it and everything, and then, you know, like I said, if you have some thoughts on these specific controversies, you can label and put them in the comment section, but the first one I want to focus on is the one that she had with John Campea a few years back. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over John's video, and we're going to go through it. We're going to listen to what he has to say and everything, because Grace didn't make a video about this and didn't really like address it. So this is kind of what we have. We have his side of the story. And I think it's a decent video to go through and just really like talk about it or whatnot and everything. So we're going to go through this and see what John has to say. Okay, so let's check this out. All right, so here we go. Boom.
Hey there, guys. John here, and for video to respond to all this Grace Randolph nonsense that's been going on here. Look, before I give you a little bit of background here, okay? First of all, I don't know Grace Randolph from Adam. I mean, I met her once about, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 years ago at Comic-Con. She came over and introduced herself to me, and it was pleasant enough. Then a year or 2 later, I was doing the Masters of the Web panel. I was putting that together, and I had an agenda for myself that I wanted to have more female participants on the Masters of the Web panel. So I extended an invitation.
So far, everything about this is sounding okay.
But still, I extended her an invitation to be on the Masters of the Web panel, and she declined the invitation because she wasn't going to be in San Diego that year. And that's all fine and good. That was fine. Another little piece of background information you need to have is the fact that I don't follow many people on Twitter. I mean, it's funny, my Twitter says I follow 70 people, like 70 people, but really I follow about 10. So I don't know who those other 60 are.
I don't know if he's flexing right there, but if he is flexing, that's really weird. It's really weird. Okay, continuing.
But I got about 10 people whose notifications come up on my Twitter. And absolutely, Grace Randolph is not one of those.
I don't follow that many people on Twitter.
But another person who's not on my Twitter stream is Andy Signor. I don't follow Andy on Twitter either. So really, the only way I hear anything on Twitter is when people send me direct messages. That's
okay.
The only way I get anything on Twitter. But
here's where we get into it.
I don't follow Grace. I don't follow Andy or anything like that. Now, for a while now, ever since like Batman v Superman first came out, there has been an issue going around. Like some people would say things like, "Oh, there's an anti-DC agenda."
I would agree with that.
Film critics are just on Marvel's payroll.
I would kind of agree with that.
On Batman vs Superman, and that's been around for a long time.
It has. It's still going on today.
Ever since Batman vs Superman came out, and I've addressed that issue on Heroes. I've addressed it on my podcast.
Haven't heard it, but whatever.
I've addressed it a number of times. I've certainly never addressed it because one particular person said something, and I had.
How long is this? Oh, we're not doing 20 minutes of this, just so you know.
So anyway, a couple days ago, a few more people, right? By a few, I don't mean like several hundred people. I mean like.
All right, let's get into the thick of this.
A couple of people, and I don't know how Andy got involved in it, but her and Andy started going back and forth. That said, anyone. Not Grace Randolph. I said anyone who is trying to tell you that DC's paying people off for the anti-DC agenda is an idiot and stupid. You shouldn't listen to them. that's just what I said, but it certainly wasn't in response to what Grace had said. So I guess somebody sent Grace that tweet that I put out.
Okay.
And Grace apparently realized I wasn't talking about her because she's put out a tweet that said, that must not be about me. And it's still on her Twitter. Go and look. She even realized that.
We'll believe him. We don't have to go look.
Because of this, and this. And I was like, well, because it's not.
Plus, I don't want to go look. I'm lazy.
However, I guess Grace did think it was about her, despite the fact that I've never talked to Grace Randolph. I have no interaction with Grace Randolph. I don't follow her on Twitter. I don't know if she follows me on Twitter or not. But for some reason, she thought that she was so center of the universe that any tweet about this subject must be about her. Because even though she wrote, hey, that tweet mustn't be about me, no, deep down inside that head of hers, she rationalized.
He's kind of being a little bit of a dick here, but okay. I can see why he would be, though.
Whatever. I mean, look, I can't control what anybody thinks. If that's what she thought, that's what she thought. I certainly know I didn't. But at any rate, then I think it was like a day later, I get people tweeting me saying, hey, John, do you see what Grace Randolph has put up on her Twitter page about you? I'm like, about me? Why is she talking about me?
Okay.
And what they were talking about was this. This is a tweet that Grace found or was sent to Grace, and she reposted and retweeted on her Twitter page to show the world. And as you can see, it's a picture of me and my wonderful wife, Anne, on the red carpet at Captain America Civil War. Now, I go to a lot of red carpets, but I was particularly looking forward to this one. And I took some pictures, and there are some pictures there. But she reposted these pictures, and look what she put in there with them. She put in there a bunch of dollar signs with a person scratching their face. Now remember, Grace took this and put it on her Twitter page for all of her followers and sent it out to all of her followers. This is what she put up. She decided to make a direct attack on me, insinuating that by putting up pictures at a red carpet, lots of red carpets, but anyway, even though
another flex. Look at that.
Pictures of me there with dollar signs and people going, you get what the insinuation is, right?
So we do get what the insinuation is.
Randolph decided to take a shot at me.
Okay.
Made an insinuation that I am corrupt, that I take money from DC, or not from DC, from Marvel. I take money from Marvel. I don't know how much money they pay me to say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a bag of shit. I don't know how much money they gave me.
Feige doesn't do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so, I mean, for him to say that is not that big a deal. The TV portion of it. Hold on, let's see if he says anything about the movies.
That I'm the only person in the world who didn't think Jessica Jones was all that good. I don't know how much money they gave me to say Iron Man 2 was a complete disappointment, but whatever.
Okay, so yeah, he just Iron Man 2, but Iron Man 2 is a piece of shit. So I mean, it's not that big a deal. So, yeah. First off, he got invited to a red carpet event, and hold on, we'll go into hold on.
Or at least wants to insinuate to all of the Twitter followers. Look, you can see it right here. She took this, put it on her page. There's me at an event, and there's dollar signs with a wondering look of her face. Okay. So 24 hours ago, I've never thought about Grace Randolph.
Okay, so I just want to say, going back to this tweet that he put up here, let's give me 2 seconds. So going back to this tweet real quick, I just want to say, like, when you get invited to a red carpet, that's pretty much payment right there. I'm pretty sure, like, him being on the red carpet, going to a movie premiere, especially Civil War, was probably, like, the highlight of his year that year. So for him to say, like, I don't get paid by Marvel, you're getting paid. This is how you're getting paid. You get to go to a red carpet event. You may have seen some stars, may have rubbed some elbows with some people that are in the business. So you did get paid, just not with money. So we need to stop pretending. Listen, I personally, one time I got invited to an advanced screening of a movie, and I said nothing but nice things about that movie. And then later on, I thought about it. I was like, this movie really wasn't that good. But I was all stuck I was in the deadlights, all like, oh yeah, I got invited to an advanced screening, so I feel good and everything. So for him to be all like, I'm not getting paid. This is how you're getting paid. You're like, you're just stuck in the oh, they invited me to a red carpet and everything. So okay, continuing. Hold on, we gotta go back.
It wasn't about you. I don't know why you're writing this. This wasn't about you. I'm confused as to why you think it's about about you, but it's not about you. So I send that to her. So anyway, then I get into it with a few other people on Twitter, and I just put up some things that basically restate the case. Look, there is no conspiracy theory against DC out there. Some people like to film, some people don't. Just let it go. Well, then today, or yesterday, I should say, some people come into my office and they're like, John, have you seen what Grace Randolph is writing about you? Like, what? Why the hell is Grace Randolph writing about me? What the hell? What the hell? Why is Grace Randolph writing about me? What is she writing? And she had so much to say, she couldn't fit it into just a regular tweet, so she wrote up this big long thing and put it up as a graphic. And here's the graphic. So I want to get this word for word. So here's what Grace Randolph wrote. I'm going to jump down to like the third or fourth paragraph here. She said, Andy Signore, who of course is from Screen Junkies, Andy Signore and John Campea muscle their way into this conversation, hysterically twisting my words. Muscled my way into your conversation? Lady, I didn't want to be a part of your conversation. I was never a part of your conversation. You're the one who put up pictures of me with dollar signs and wondering faces, and now you're right to say, I muscled my way into your conversation. I don't follow you on Twitter. I don't follow
He
you
keeps saying that. Like, that's a big thing.
Why? I didn't say you. I didn't mention Grace Randolph. So this notion that I muscled my way and kind of psychotic. Like, seriously, if you lived in the same town as me, I might be taking out a restraining order.
See, that's ridiculous. Okay, that's ridiculous. That him to say that it's psychotic and that he would take out a restraining order. It's like, okay, grown up time. Plus, I think you could take Grace. You need to calm it down, sister. Okay.
John Campea needs more muscles their way into my conversation. Lady, I have no idea.
I don't know about John Campea muscling his way into the conversation. Andy Signore, I wouldn't doubt it.
Nor did I want to be involved in the conversation. Anyway, she goes on and keeps writing. I refuse to back down. Was I asking you to back down about something? Anyway, she goes, I refuse to back down or give into the groupthink that demands we all hate BVS. So I'm a part of a groupthink? What's a groupthink? Anyway, I'm a part of a groupthink.
She probably meant group thing. I hate when people do this crap, like when you spell one wrong word because you're trying to type it out real quick and get it out there and everything, and they're all like, oh, you spelled, the wrong, and you just put TH. It's like, calm it down, sister. There is a group thing, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
I demand that everybody hates Batman vs. Superman. I will not be satisfied, nor will I sleep until you all admit you hate Batman vs. Superman. Apparently, that's what Grace thinks. Grace goes on to write this. Upset that everyone on the face of the earth doesn't immediately agree with them. Agree with me about what? Oh, you're going to tell us. Okay. Upset that everyone on the face of the earth doesn't immediately agree with them. Things get ugly all around. That's on Signore and Campea. Really? You put up pictures of me and my wife on your Twitter with dollar signs and insinuations about my corruption and that I'm bought off and that I'm paid for. And I'm the one who made things ugly? Anyway, let's keep reading. Upset that everyone on the face of the earth doesn't immediately agree with them. Things start to get ugly all the way around. That's on Signore and Campea and BVS haters who can't stand the idea that anyone might actually like Batman vs. Superman or defend it. Really? So, I, Jon Campea, am a part of a groupthink that won't rest until everybody hates Batman vs. Superman. And I am a DC hater that I cannot accept the fact that somebody may not agree with me about Batman vs. Superman. I demand that everybody hates Batman vs. Superman. Okay. You're a psychopath. And the clear...
Okay, well, first off, we would stop name calling, okay? For the second off, there are people that are like that. They get mad whenever you defend Batman v Superman. I personally am not one of those people. I don't dislike Batman v Superman, but it's not my favorite DC movie. But there are people that do. Like, as soon as you start to defend it, they see red and they go in and everything. All right, let's continue this.
No idea what you're talking about. Me? A DC hater? I call Batman vs. Superman my #1 most anticipated film of 2016. And after I came out of seeing it, I put up a Periscope on my walk home from seeing it for the first time. When I got to see it a week before everybody else, I was walking home and I Periscoped, and I was just really happy. I was really happy with the movie. And then a little while later, after I'd already gone to see the movie 3 times, I tweeted this. In late March, I tweeted, "Probably seeing Batman vs. Superman for a 4th time tonight. I totally acknowledge the problems with the film, but to me, the good is greater than the bad." That's what I wrote about Batman vs. Superman. Okay? Genius? But apparently I'm part of this think tank. Anyway. And then I am a big DC film fan. All right? I don't just like Man of Steel, which is truly the first film of this new DC cinematic universe. I called Man of Steel this. This is what I tweeted back in April. Wrote, "This isn't popular," back in April 2015. "This isn't popular, but the more I watch Man of Steel, the more I'm tempted to say it's not just a great movie, it's a fucking masterpiece." Now, I know a lot of you will disagree with that. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Man of Steel.
I do disagree with that. It's not masterpiece, but it is a good movie. I do like Man of Steel.
Don't worry, I'm not going to accuse you of being on somebody's payroll. I'm not going to accuse you of having a pro-DC agenda. I'm not going to accuse you of having an anti-Marvel agenda if you don't agree with me about Man of Steel. Don't worry about it. And that's fine.
Okay, so I think that basically we've got the gist of this. I think that I think that maybe Grace did, maybe he wasn't talking about Grace and she did think he was talking about Grace. That happens to a lot of people on Twitter. It's just a thing. I don't think that there's any beef between them now. If there is, I haven't seen anything. I do have to say, though, that like I said before, he got invited to a red carpet. If you get invited to red carpet events, because he lives in California, in fact, I think he lives like super close to where they film all this stuff. If you live close there and they keep inviting you to red carpet stuff, you're basically being paid. Like, you're not being paid in dollar bills, like I said before. You're not getting a check in the mail from them, but you are getting some kind of payment. And he's getting some kind of payment. So I think for him to say is like, "I'm not bought off," it's like, I'm like, and then he's all like, "I said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Jessica Jones were crappy." Listen, those aren't, like, as far as I understand, those are not part of the MCU. Those are just a part of the TV side, because Jeff Loeb did those and Kevin Feige does not like Jeff Loeb. So, I mean, for him to be all like, "I said those." Now, he did say Iron Man 2 is crap, but I'm sorry. I don't know anybody that just loves Iron Man 2. I mean, some people are like, about it and everything, but for the most part, people that I know don't like Iron Man 2. So I don't know what he's talking about, but like I said, it's probably some miscommunication. And yeah, Grace probably thought he was talking about her, and he probably wasn't. Maybe he was. Who knows? He could be lying. People lie all the time. But, and he's got to stop. You got to stop calling names. Like, calm it down, sister. And the whole thing about I would get a restraining order if you live closer to me is ridiculous. I mean, I don't think that Grace Randolph is one of these people that would just attack you on the street, verbally or physically, if they saw you. I think she would just be like, "All right, that's him. I'm going to go the other way. You do you, boo-boo. I'm going to do me. I don't want to conversate. I don't want to a conflict in public," kind of thing. So that is the first controversy. All right, so that's my first Grace controversy that I want to go over. And so for my second one that I want to go over, and I keep saying mine, it's not my controversy. For the second one I want to go over, and that is the one that Cathy Yan had in May of 2020, and that was with the director Cathy Yan. She directed Birds of Prey. And we're going to go over that real quick. So the Cathy Yan controversy started with David Ayer. He posted this, and he said, "This was reshot because the tone was too dark. My first act was normally constructed film. I took my inspiration from Nolan. There were real scenes with incredible acting between Jared and Margot. Joker was terrifying. Harley was complex." Now, he just tweeted that out, and it's because he's trying to get an Ayer cut of the Suicide Squad out, because the Snyder cut is being released. And I get that. You want your original film to be put out there because the studio meddled a little bit. And I totally get that. I'm not, this is not a crap on David Ayer. I didn't like the Suicide Squad. There were things I did like about it, but you know, he wanted to get his vision out there. And I totally get that. I totally get that. He's kind of riding the coattails of Snyder. But hey, it's totally cool. I totally get that. But then, so then what happened was, Kathy Yan tweeted this out, and it says, "I'm so sorry this happened to you, David. I know the pain." Now, she had some meddling going on with her movie from the studio, and we're going to get into a little bit of it, but they had some extensive reshoots. They had to bring in a different director to do more action sequences, and, you know, it happens. But I have to be honest, the action sequences, in my opinion, didn't save that movie because it was still such a turd. Anyways, so then Grace tweeted this. She said, "I told you guys, massive reshoots largely to take out dick pics storyline and add more action via Chad Stahelski." That was the director that was brought on and everything. And and I discussed the dick pics earlier in this last part where we talked about her scoops. So you can go back and watch that. But so we get into this, and he says, "I'm surprised Yan would jump on this bandwagon, though Birds of Prey very well reviewed by critics and has a very strong fan base that vehemently defends film, as is DCEU." And that's totally cool. If you like Birds of Prey, that's all on you. You like whatever you like. I'm not going to tell you what to like. I don't like it. So that's totally cool. But there is stuff in that film also that I do like. It's just that the film overall, I don't like it. So then Kathy Yan shot back, and she said, "Excuse me, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's fascinating you would deem to try when you weren't part of the process whatsoever." Now, before I comment on that real quick, we're going to go over to what Grace replies with, and she says, "No reporter is ever part of the process. They're different jobs. Everything I reported is common knowledge. With many insiders, I brought it to the public. I gave your film a good review, and I said, here you have a strong fan base. So logically, there should be no problem here." Now, first off, I just want to say that Grace is right. They're totally two separate jobs. So, of course, Grace wouldn't be a part of that process. That was a weird thing to say, but whatever. It's cool. She's just trying to defend herself. I get it. And then she said, "Everything I reported is common knowledge with many insiders." It wasn't obviously common knowledge to myself and people that don't have contacts in the business, but she and others obviously knew about it. And she said, "I brought it to the public," which is true. She made a whole video about it. I'll leave links and everything to all this stuff that I referenced to, and you guys can check it out. And she said, "I gave your film a good review, and I said, here you have a strong fan base." It's true. She did say that. A good review. She gave it a fresh tomato, and she said in her review that she wished that there was a middle tomato in between rotten or fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, because like me, she said it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I'm paraphrasing. Go watch her review if you want to get her exact words. See, so logically there should be no problem. Now I have to say, there is a problem because Kathy Yan's having a problem with it. It's probably just because you said something, you know, some people get upset. So then we move on to the next thing. And she right here, and Kathy Yan comes in and she says, "And I thank you for the support, but," I feel like whenever you say "but," everything before it is negated, but we'll see what she says. "Let's set the record straight. There were never dick pics. You peddling a pedophilia rumor is not journalism. Peddling any gossip is not journalism. I know I was one." This I found fascinating because I didn't know Kathy Yan was a journalist, so she must not have been that big. I mean, she wasn't sitting over there winning Pulitzers wherever she was. So she obviously didn't know that. She didn't know that. So obviously nobody knew that because I didn't know she was a journalist. But anyway, so let's set the record straight. There were never dick pics. Now we'll get into that just a little bit in a little bit and everything when she confirms it. Anyways, you peddling a pedophilia rumor is not journalism. Peddling any gossip is not journalism, unless you're a gossip journalist. Then a lot of people are saying that Grace is not a journalist, and I mean, you can argue that all day, but I mean, Come on, whatever. She's an entertainment journalist. Anyway, so she said, multiple reporters confirmed that story after I reported it, said it was great and should be kept in film, and didn't like it taken out. That could be true too. It could have been miraculously awesome, but obviously, you know, some people had a problem with it, and the studio felt that they should take it out. And dick pics aren't pedophilia. Plus, as a former journalist, you should realize the optics of now pretending you have a sudden better Yan cut. And I think that that's what Kathy Yan was trying to do. She was trying to say, you know, I should get my cut of the movie done because the studio meddled and I had an artistic vision and everything. And I'm pretty sure she would totally accept a Yan cut. Now, David Ayer probably should get his own Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, but Kathy Yan, no one's interested in a Yan cut of that garbage. Anyways, so then Kathy Yan comes back and she says, this is not true. There has never been any discussion around the size of Roman's dick. I can't believe I even have to write that. The original script called for an image of Roman as Michelangelo's David. You know, art. If that's a dick pic, then the Louvre is full of them. Now, I just want to say, like I said before, if you go and look, hold on. Oh, and then she put this article up, and then she said, meanwhile, articles like the below are written off of your scoops. Congratulations on being the scum of journalism. Now, I just want to say, I've always heard, and people keep saying it to me, that once you start name calling in a argument or discussion or debate or whatever, you've lost, because that means you have nothing to go on and you have to resort to the lowest form of just insulting somebody by calling them names. So Kathy Yan is basically thrown in the towel because she's all like, I'm losing this and this is not Grace Randolph's article, like she says in here, but she says it's written off her scoops. And so I just want to point out real quick, and then, okay, so then Grace goes on. We'll discuss it some more. That's not my story, she says. How can I control if reporters don't quote me accurately? I never said pedophilia in my reporting, ever. And Kathy, your recent tweets just proved my story correct, which you've clearly never bothered to see. And name calling isn't a good look for anyone. That's very true. Name calling is never a good look. I don't like calling people names just because it... there's a better way of getting around your argument, but it's fine. And then she just said, Kathy Yan proved her correct, because she said, with the line with, there was a statue in there. And so then she goes and she said, the storyline that was, this was a different thread that had started up, and she said the storyline was that you could see Roman's dick on the statue in the picture in the diamond, and he was upset. It looked small, so that's why he was so fixated on getting it back. A picture of a statue's dick I think she meant to say in this context is a dick pic. Now, you can argue either way with that. It just depends. I mean, if you were somebody that was upset with the way your genitalia looked on a statue, then you might want to get it back /change /whatever. So, I mean, like I said, you can argue that either way. So then Kathy Yan, okay, so here is Kathy Yan proved it, and here is her coverage. So Kathy Yan proved her right, and here's her coverage of that. So you can see in her coverage that she is got a picture of Michelangelo's David, and she has, it's Michelangelo's David with a thing covering over his, junk, and that he's basically just, she's trying to say that's the statue. Kathy Yan proved it right. She strategically uses a statue of Michelangelo's David in her coverage, and then Kathy Yan uses Michelangelo's David as a reference for her movie. So it just proves that Grace Randolph's scoop story was right. Her scoop was right. In this instant, I think that Kathy Yan really just insulting somebody and not trying to have an open dialogue and just be like, listen, hey, you were wrong about this, this, and this. That was not a thing. You know, whoever told you this was wrong. But I mean, listen, I'm on Grace's side on this. Plus, Kathy Ann is a piece of garbage. So, yeah, forget that hoe. So yeah, a lot of people after this confrontation with Kathy Yan, a lot of people were saying, you know, oh, here she is getting called out and she's a liar. And that, you know, see how she's lying and everything. And, you know, and even, you know, Andy Signor over at Planet Popcorn, he had done a whole video about how Grace was wrong and, you know, how can you know more than the filmmaker / the director or whatnot. And I just want to say, like, there is a possibility that Kathy Yan was lying. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time a director lied about their movies. And that I totally understand. I totally get if a director is lying. I mean, for instance, J.J. Abrams lied about Benedict Cumberbatch's character in as Khan in the second Star Trek movie. So it's not like directors don't lie about their movies. And I think that for anyone to believe that they tell the truth about their movies 100% all the time is grossly naive. All right. So for my last controversy that I want to go over, and this is a big one, is that her news on The Mandalorian. Now, she's gotten a lot of crap over the last couple of weeks and everything since the season ended. And we're going to go over this saga. It's still ongoing, and I don't think it'll be resolved anytime real soon. But I think by the end of this, you'll see why Grace is correct on this scoop and why the controversy is, you know, it's ongoing, but I think it will turn out in her favor. And then she'll get to rub it out in everybody's faces. So, so the first thing I want to start off with is her video that she told the tea on, and we'll go over this and everything. And this was on September 15th, 2020. And it was after I believe the final trailer, or maybe the first trailer of The Mandalorian. And she spilled this tea. So we're going to go over it right now.
So now the tea, as promised. I haven't been able to confirm, though, whether or not this was resolved for season 3. I hope that it will be, though, because I really like Pedro Pascal on this show. And also, now that you know this, you'll understand why The Mandalorian season 2 will have a good chunk of it that does not feature The Mandalorian, or at least not Djarin, because the title doesn't specify which Mandalorian. A loophole they will...
Which we'll go over that a little bit after this video. Okay, so let's continue.
Expected to maybe need. And by the way, that's already been confirmed in the recent Entertainment Weekly interview by Jon Favreau himself, that season 2 will focus heavily on other characters and storylines that don't involve Pedro Pascal. Why is that? Well, that's because while filming season 2, Pedro Pascal really wanted to have some scenes with his helmet off, which I totally understand, you know, from an actor's perspective. Also because there are other Mandalorian
totally reasonable,
or at least ones wearing Mandalorian armor, that get to have scenes without helmets. So it does seem a little unfair. Like he can't have one scene in private with the child. But no, the Mandalorian creative team wouldn't budge on this. So Pedro Pascal, from what I've heard from 2 sources now, was frustrated about this and also was pretty darn uncomfortable in the Mando suit on set. So he became difficult. And the final straw, though, even though he was, you know, difficult to be around on set, the final straw was that he went to Lucasfilm, from what I heard from my sources, to try and get them to intervene on his behalf. And you combine that with Lucasfilm already trying to get involved with story aspects of season 2, which I've also heard, including focusing more on standalone episodes rather than making them more connected, which is what I hear that the Mandalorian creative team wanted to do, which is kind of what was happening at the end of season 1. So when Pedro Pascal went to the Lucasfilm, you know, the Mando team was like, you know what?
We're going to get into this in just one after this video. We'll get into a different YouTuber and their scoop about this. But I just want to say that, you know, when she mentions Lucasfilm, the other scooper says that he just talked to George Lucas himself. So, all right, let's continue this.
You should just go. And Pedro Pascal did. So that happened about halfway through filming. So either The Mandalorian season 2 will switch halfway through, or I've been thinking about it, I think there's a chance, and this is probably what I would do, is that they'll sprinkle the Mandalorian stuff with Pedro Pascal that they did shoot throughout the season to make it feel more whole, and then they'll fill in the blanks with these other character stories. We have wondered why.
Now, real quick before we get into that, also her thought process could have happened also because, I mean, if you look at it, there's a couple of episodes. I'm thinking off the top of my head that the one where Baby Yoda's on the mountain, he doesn't take off his helmet in there, and he barely talks in that episode. I mean, he gets knocked out a couple of times by that force field, and it's mostly just focusing on Boba Fett and oh, what was the rifle lady from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I can't remember her name, but it mostly focused on those two characters fighting stormtroopers. So, all right, let's continue.
Baloney characters are being brought onto this show instead of having their own show. Maybe that was always the plan, or maybe because Pedro Pascal and the creative team had this falling out halfway through filming, they needed new exciting characters that would make up for the loss of a fan favorite. It's like, hey, you might not have as much of Pedro Pascal, but look at all this cool new stuff you're getting, which I also think I understand where everybody's coming from on this. Now, as I said, I've heard the breakup was pretty bad with both sides pretty darn upset, but hopefully cooler heads can prevail. Maybe again, they already have, so that Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian can return for season 3 with his helmet off for 1 or 2 scenes. I mean,
Which, real quick, I just want to say he did return to the show because he did have a couple of episodes where he did take off his helmet, and we're going to talk about that. But yeah, he does end up taking off his helmet. But I think that this was shot, if you look at the way he looks, I think this was shot after this whole controversy, and then he came back because he was probably under contract and he filmed what he needed to, and he got what he wanted, taking off his helmet, and so therefore, you know, he did those scenes, and then we'll move on from here. Okay, here we go.
How do you feel about it? Is the helmet staying on 100% of the time? Like, come on, these are creative people. They came up with a reason for him to take it off in season 1. Do you really feel it should be that much of a line in the sand? I think that there should be some compromise that can be reached, because I just think Pedro Pascal is fantastic in this role. And also to him, I would say, don't underestimate the importance of your voiceover. I think that, you know, even when we don't see Pedro Pascal, I think we definitely feel him. So what do you think? Share your thoughts down below. Again, I've had that confirmed by 2 sources, and it totally fits with the way, they've been very secretive about this. Understandable. I mean, Star Wars does not need more scandal. That's the reason why you're going to see a lot of, you're going to see episodes that don't feature Pedro Pascal, and that's why. All right, so share your thoughts down below.
Okay, so I just want to say in a live stream, after she started getting crap about this, she said that her source on one of her sources on this was so good that she might as well have been on set. And then, so there was that situation. All right. So then what I want to go over next is on December 22nd, Victor Van Doomcock over at DVD Overlord, he had put out a video that corroborated with Grace Randolph's scoops and her information and tea about the Mandalorian and Pedro Pascal's behavior on the set. And right now I want to go over that video, and we're going to highlight the big parts of it that corroborate with Grace's video on the Mandalorian. And then also he added some extra stuff to it. And we'll go over another video after that. All right, so let's get started on this video. Here we go.
This past week, Grace Randolph broke some rumors regarding the Mandalorian that has spread like wildfire through the untended forests of the internet, fueled by interest in the soon-to-be-released Season 2, as well as rumors I broke regarding Disney shooting Mandalorian Seasons 3 and 4 simultaneously in a forced quarantine situation on a decommissioned Air Force base recently purchased for that purpose. Just a couple of hours ago, I received some information that sheds new light on these rumors and reveals the fate of Pedro Pascal in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. But this story is very twisty and filled with a lot of nuance as I shed more light on Grace Randolph's claims and bring everything into context. About 5 days ago, Grace Randolph claimed that there had been trouble with Pedro Pascal wanting to take off his mask, which has led to him walking away from the production for a period of time, which led in turn to a radical shift away from the character of the Mandalorian on a show called The Mandalorian, which, as you can imagine, would be a bit of a problem. Well, at the time these rumors came out, I had heard nothing about them. You guys were asking me for my comments, and I had none. Initially, when I asked my sources about this rumor, they ran into dead ends. They felt that this was some kind of publicity stunt to drum up interest in Mandalorian Season 2 close to its release, but I felt there was no way that Disney would want negative publicity of any kind around the one successful Star Wars skew they've managed to cobble together from the ruins of Kathleen Kennedy's reign. And so I asked them to beat the bushes and see if they could drum up anything to confirm or deny what Grace Randolph reported. My sources have done so, and they have come up with new details on Randolph's rumors, as well as some new information I find rather alarming. Please bear in mind that these comments on Randolph's rumors are rumors themselves. So as always, please consider what you're about to hear to be unverified and take these rumors with a grain of salt. My friends, this investigation has been a labyrinth of strange silences and shifting directions. Initially, one of my best sources claimed that he or she didn't know anything about there being problems with Pedro Pascal. My source claimed that Pedro didn't walk off the show as rumored. Season 2 has been finished quite a while, and they are moving forward with production of Seasons 3 and 4. But my agent, who spoke with this source, expressed the opinion that it might well be our source can't tell us what's really going on. This gave me pause, because our sources in general are pretty free with information. If my agent felt this, then there must have been something in the manner of this source that gave them pause. Did this source not know, or was this source reluctant to disclose what they knew? My agents at this point felt like the story was still probably bogus, as Pedro had not expressed a shred of negativity across his social media accounts. Surely, Pedro Pascal would have let some hint of discontent slip out if things were really that bad on the set of The Mandalorian.
I don't believe that part. I don't believe that Pedro Pascal would go out on Twitter and be all like, oh, hey, Star Wars sucks. And we'll get into that a little bit more as this video goes on. But I just want to say I don't agree with him on that point right there.
Even with contracts and legal obligations, right? He wasn't complaining about The Mandalorian. In fact, he's still promoting it. Still, I wanted to make sure.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Of course you promote the show you're on. You're legally binding by that. That's usually in your contract that you have to do so much promotion for, a movie or a TV show. So, okay, so here we go.
I asked my agents to dig deeper and to follow up on these rumors with a few more of our best sources, and one of them came through in a big way. According to this source, one of our most reliable insiders, there is indeed a problem with Pedro Pascal. Pedro has felt very frustrated at being hidden behind a mask and wanting more face time on the show. This seems to me to be a reasonable request. I mean, The Mandalorian.
That is a reasonable request. I agree with that 100%. There's nothing wrong with that request. Pedro Pascal had every right to ask for that. That is not the problem here.
Pedro wanted the chance to use his acting abilities to bring this character to life. And the lore that Mandalorians don't remove their helmets, well, that's more of a guideline than a rule, isn't it? Since on Clone Wars and Rebels, Mandalorians removed their helmets whenever they wanted to. But hey, canon hasn't exactly been thriving under Kennedy's reign of terror, so whatever. Propping up this brand new conceit that Mandalorians never take off their helmets is more important than making your lead actor happy, I guess, even though keeping his helmet on has the net effect of limiting the dramatic impact of stories by keeping the Mandalorian at a distance from everyone else and making sure he never has any personal stories to tell. Does a Mandalorian screw with his helmet on? You see the problem? There's a limit to the kinds of stories you can tell with this helmet always on rule. Pedro has figured this out, and reportedly, he is not happy with the Faustian bargain he has made. Sure, he's the star of the show, a star that won't ever be seen. My source claims that Pedro Pascal was jealous over Gina Carano and Baby Yoda getting all the attention when he's the actual star of the show. And this did indeed lead to some friction. Just hours ago, I received some information that really shed light on these rumors, which is why I'm finally making this video after days of silence. So during this part, I will be referring to two sources. My initial source
So I just want to say right now that Grace Randolph said she had two sources, and she said in a live video, a live stream, that one of her sources was so close that she might as well have been on set. And so you have this Victor Van Doomcock, he's got two sources also. So let's just pretend that he's got the two same sources. So he's got two sources. So at least there's two sources that have confirmed what's going on. Now, I have to believe that the source that Grace had that was so close that she might as well have been on set was not one of the sources that Victor Van Doomcock has. So I'm just going to say there's at least three now. So, but possibly a total of four, completely different people. But there is a possibility that they overlapped. So here we go.
News source. The distinction is important. You'll see why in a moment. So my initial source admitted that Pedro Pascal was unhappy with the mask situation, but claimed it wasn't as ugly as Randolph had depicted it. Pascal never went to Kathleen Kennedy, as the claims say. Why would he do that? According to my source, Kennedy...
I just want to say real quick that he's wrong on this. She did not say Kathleen Kennedy. She said Lucasfilm. There's a complete difference. And we'll get into that a little bit more, I believe, in the second video or this video. We'll see. Just we'll continue now.
It's completely marginalized as far as The Mandalorian goes. She has no power to change anything Favreau and Filoni want to do at this point. So any suggestions that Pascal tried to get Kathleen Kennedy to intercede for him are reportedly bogus. This source claims that Pedro Pascal only mentioned the situation to George Lucas one day while Lucas was visiting the set. So this source claims that while indeed Pascal was unhappy about the situation, the whole incident was being blown out of proportion. People this source has spoken to claim the situation has been addressed, and my source couldn't understand why this was all being brought up now. But then, at the end, something happened that made me very suspicious. My source concluded that they could neither confirm nor deny that Pedro Pascal will be in season 3 of The Mandalorian. Now that is weird.
I agree, that is weird. You know,
Producers have never played games like that before. Never. I was holding off doing a video about it, however, until this morning, when I got new information from a brand new source that makes everything suddenly clear. Again, please consider what you're about to hear as rumor. According to this last-minute source, Pedro Pascal did indeed speak to George Lucas on the set of The Mandalorian one day. He knew that Favreau and Filoni both respect George's opinion, and he was hoping that George could make Favreau and Filoni see the light, look at things from Pascal's perspective, and get him some face time.
Which is not a bad idea. I mean, like Pedro Pascal, I understand his situation in that respect. And this is not to, well, it will be later, but so him to ask George Lucas is not like a big deal. But I mean, George Lucas, he has no power over there. He's just a consultant. So I think that him going to them was a little bit, and it right now he's corroborating everything Grace said as far as that goes, except for he said that she said he went to Kathleen Kennedy, and that's not what she said. But okay, continuing.
Sure. This apparently didn't work, and at that point, the problems began. Pascal allegedly became very difficult to work with. He would pull the helmet off in the middle of scenes without warning. He started getting his lines wrong, showing up for work late. His attitude started causing a lot of friction on the set, so bad that at one point he was told to leave the set.
So again, corroborating, but I just want to say that Pedro Pascal, he is totally acting like a child. I'm sorry. You get paid the big bucks. Stop acting like, you know, you got to act professional when you're at your job. And for them to ask him to leave because he was acting like this is 100% good on them. When somebody at your job is being a problem, you just need to be like, all right, you need to go. You need to go. You're being an issue, and we don't need to deal with this. So continuing.
This apparently is the source of the rumor that he walked off the set. It seems he didn't quit so much as he was told to get the F out. I was astonished to hear this, but not entirely surprised. This kind of weird pettiness happens all the time in Hollywood, so I do credit this rumor as more plausible than it would at first appear. But here's the kicker, folks. My initial source said that the situation was resolved, and they could neither confirm nor deny that Pedro Pascal will return for season 3 of the Mandalorian.
Now, I just want to say this is what he has added onto it. He confirmed that it was resolved, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But and then he said that his source couldn't confirm that he was going to be in season 3. So he pretty much validated everything that Grace had said in her video, in her scoop and everything. So continuing.
Well, my new source now claims the situation is resolved, all right. Pedro Pascal will not be returning to the set of The Mandalorian. From season 3 onward, he will only be recording lines for The Mandalorian. He will no longer be appearing on camera. He will be someone else in the suit.
Which we will get into in a little bit, but if because I don't know if that's true, but if that is true, I doubt it though. That's a reasonable response because then he doesn't have to wear the outfit and he doesn't have to worry about anything else. So you can just record his lines and collect that big paycheck, and then a stunt double can wear the outfit. Okay, continuing.
Pascal will have to work a lot less and will no longer be shoved into that uncomfortable costume all day. And it satisfies the crew, as the guy in the suit will no longer be pulling off his helmet in the middle of takes and complaining to George Lucas. So there you have it, folks. The latest Mandalorian rumors, along with my research into the previous rumors. It looks like The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to proceed without disruption, which is good news for Star Wars fans.
All right, so that was the first video that Victor Van Doomcock put out. Now, he did put out another video on November 19th where he gave a little bit more details as to, for instance, what was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as Pedro Pascal leaving the set or being kicked off the set of The Mandalorian. And we're going to take a look at that video. And again, he is just corroborating what Grace said, okay? So this is another YouTuber, and he's pretty big. But he's just corroborating what Grace Randolph had said in her initial video about The Mandalorian. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at this? All right, let's take a look at this.
My friends, I am Victor Van Doomcock.
I don't like his helmet. It creeps me out.
I come to you today with a new rumor regarding Pedro Pascal. Pascal stirred up a lot of resentment in Star Wars fandom when news leaked that he had pitched a fit and left the show because he hated the idea of never taking off his helmet. It was assumed that Pascal was simply behaving as a spoiled, overpaid prima donna, a temperamental actor motivated by the vain desire to have face time on the show, even though he knew what he was getting into when he signed his contract, at which point he was informed that he would not be removing his helmet. This didn't sit well with Star Wars fans in a time of massive unemployment and layoffs. It seemed ungrateful of Pascal to try and renege on his deal. My viewers were writing me, telling me he was a worthless, spoiled Hollywood star who ought to be grateful he gets to make tons of money playing pretend as the star of a TV show. Well, my friends, while there is certainly an element of truth in that view, my agents have provided me with a very telling new rumor about what really happened on the set of The Mandalorian. And let me assure you, if this rumor is true, you have only been told half of the story. The Mandalorian grew up thinking that all Mandalorians never took their helmets off. Pedro Pascal thought the same thing, and that's where the trouble began. My agents tell me that Disney did not want this story to get out, that they just want to forget all about this incident. But
which, I mean, of course they would. Nobody would want this story to get out. Okay.
As much as I don't like Pedro Pascal for the asinine and hurtful things he has tweeted out and posted on Instagram, I feel as if a bit of an injustice has been done to him, and so I want to set the record straight. This is a rumor, yes, but even so, it makes so damn much sense. I think when you hear this, you'll agree it's all too plausible. According to a source with knowledge of the production, when Pedro Pascal signed his contract, he was under the belief that no Mandalorians were ever going to remove their helmets. And this would apply to all Mandalorian characters on the show moving forward. Alas, when Pedro got his first read of the script for Chapter 11, introducing Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, he was pissed to see that, in fact, there were going to be Mandalorians taking off their helmets, and he wasn't one of them. Once Pedro got a load of Katie Sackhoff getting to take off her helmet, along with 2 other Mandalorians going full Monty faceless, he started trying to change the situation. As the previous
So now, right now, he's just reiterating the story of what happened in the first one, and he'll tell in just a little bit about what was the straw that broke the camel's back and had Pedro Pascal throwing a big fit on set, and what made them be like, "Hey, you need to leave."
suggested, he went to Jon Favreau, to George Lucas, to Bob Iger, and Bob Chapek. Though tellingly, when asked if Pedro Pascal went to plead his case to Kathleen Kennedy, the source replied, quote, "He knows better than to go to her," unquote. And that was a direct quote. But regardless of whom he petitioned, Pedro Pascal didn't get anywhere. And I am told it is at that point he got hard to work with. Showing up late, blowing lines, grumbling, basically doing everything he could to register his displeasure with the process. This went on until one day, finally, something happened that he couldn't stand, and that's when he blew his top. According to this source, one day during
So this is the part where he explains what it was that was the final straw.
shooting, Hasbro brought samples from the new Mandalorian toy line to the set to show them off. Everything looked good until Pedro removed his figure's helmet, and the face underneath it looked really, really bad.
I have to admit, the figure does look bad. It looks so, it just looks gross, the face. I'd be upset about it too.
That right there was the final humiliation. And so Pedro more or less lost it. All the previous frustration reportedly poured out of him. He started venting to cast and crew for a while until finally it escalated into a yelling match, at which point Pedro was told to leave the set. Now, I reported on this rumor a few months back. Grace Randolph had broken a version of the story, but my sources had a different take on the incident with more detail, and I went with it. But of all the rumors I've heard, this one makes the most sense to me now that I've seen Chapter 11. This new bit of information, in my opinion, casts Pascal's reaction in a new light. I do not like Pascal personally because of his antics and slanders, but hearing this, I felt I needed to set the record straight in the spirit of fairness. His politics and actions aside, which I do not approve of, as an actor, I would be pretty damn upset under those circumstances.
All right. So we've got that. And I just want to say, like, okay, so basically he just added on a little bit more information. He reiterated what he had said in the last video. And then he added on the last part, which was after they showed the action figure, which was gross, he freaked out. And that's when they asked him to leave. So then the show takes place and we get that last scene in The Mandalorian where Boba Fett goes back to Jabba's palace and he sits on the throne, and we'll get into that right now. All right. So the next thing that I want to just talk about and bring up and everything is, so they had the season finale of The Mandalorian season 2. And a lot of people had questions about that because it was very confusing with the whole end credit scene where Boba Fett and Finnick, is that her name? And it doesn't matter. Anyways, they show up at Jabba the Hutt's palace and they take it over and he becomes like some crime lord or whatever. So there was that. But I want to talk about something that Jon Favreau said, a couple of things that he said. And the wording that he says is very specific. And we're also going to look at Kathleen Kennedy, what she said in conjunction with this. And she said that just days before this interview. And we'll talk about that. So the first thing we're going to look at is what Jon Favreau said on Good Morning America. He did an interview. And this took place on December 21st. So let's take a look at what he said. So here we go.
At the end of the show, Boba Fett came out and it said the book of Boba Fett coming coming December of 2020.
So I just want you to point out real quick, he said coming Christmas, fixed his words, Freudian slip, and said December. Okay, so very interesting. Just keep that in mind, all right? And then he goes on to say.
And that wasn't part of the big Disney announcement, but here's the logo. We wanted to hold this back because we don't want to spoil the surprise during the big Disney announcement of all the shit.
Now, if all that is true, fine, but it doesn't take that. It's not that hard to make a logo. People at home can do that on Photoshop. I could do that on Photoshop. So it's not really hard to mock up this very generic title and everything. So okay. Let's finish the rest of this.
When Kathleen Kennedy was up there, and so they let me keep this one a secret. So this is actually separate from The Mandalorian Season 3. But what we didn't say in that announcement is that the next show coming up, Kathy said the next chapter, and that's going to be the Book of Boba Fett.
Now, see, she says chapter, but he says the next show, and it's a spin-off show. It's very interesting that now there's a spin-off show of Boba Fett. So let's just listen to the rest of what he has to say.
Went to production right after that on Season 3 of The Mandalorian, back with the main character that we all have known and loved.
And Dave.
So he says the character we know and love. He doesn't say Mando. He doesn't say Djarin. He doesn't say Pedro Pascal. Just says the character that we know and love. So the next thing I want to look at is what it was put out on December 11th, 2020. And that was what Kathleen Kennedy said at the Investor Day call for Star Wars. She had her whole presentation. Very boring. But we'll just look at what she says. So here we go.
Currently developing 2 new spin-off series exclusively for Disney+. One, The Rangers of the New Republic, and the other featuring fan favorite Ahsoka Tano. Set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, these interconnected shows, along with future stories, will excite new audiences, embrace our most passionate fans, and will culminate in a climactic story event. The next chapter will debut on Disney Plus Christmas of 2021.
Notice right there, she said debuting Christmas 2021. Okay. And remember what Jon Favreau said. He did a little slip of the tongue and said Christmas, and then he changed his words real quick to December. So then we get, an interview with Pedro Pascal. Now, this was put out on December 15th. Now, this was put out after the Investor Day call and before the interview with Jon Favreau. And this is what was asked. I had to get this off Twitter, but so the picture isn't that great, but this is what was asked of him, and this is what he said. And we'll get into some stuff after we watch this.
So another Daniel would like to know, you've said apparently that you want to have your helmet off in future Mandalorian episodes. Is that true?
That is not true, actually.
So I just want to say right now, she asked him straight up, do you want to have more scenes without your helmet on? And that was the whole thing. And now he's saying blatantly that it's not true, that he didn't want to not have his helmet on. But well, let's continue with what he has to say.
It's a really wonderful way of telling the story. It's always been a very clear creed for the character, and the collaborative process of the whole thing has been we've all been on the same page with this. I think.
Have you though?
What I want is for them to make the best show possible. However
by showing your face.
Right. Yeah. I just love Baby Yoda.
Okay, so now listen, maybe he's telling the truth, okay, or he could be lying. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's not lying. This is him. He's confirming that that's not true. But I just want to say, actors, like directors from before, they lie all the time about their characters, about the TV shows and the movies they're doing. Of course, they're not going to tell the truth. Pedro Pascal is not going to come out and say, oh, of course I was being difficult on the set. I was being a little bitch and everything. But one example I want to just point out is Marion Cotillard, I think that's how you say her name. She was playing Talia al Ghul in The Dark Knight Rises. And she did interviews where they asked her blatantly, are you Talia al Ghul? And she blatantly lied and said, no, I am not playing Talia al Ghul. Then the movie comes out, she's playing Talia al Ghul, and then she has to face these interviewers that she lied to. Now, she says she doesn't regret it, and I don't think she should. She would regret it, but I'm just saying, like, actors lie. It's a thing that happens. People lie, okay? So we need to stop being all like, oh, he's telling the truth now. Okay, okay, you believe that, buddy. Next one that I want to go through is this article. Now, this was put out on January 25th, 2021, and it says, Pedro Pascal teases that The Mandalorian will show more no-helmet scenes in Season 3. Very interesting. I love how in that interview that just what we were just watching, said that he likes the whole, it's part of the creed, and he likes that whole thing of not wearing the helmet and everything. And I just want to make the best story that they're telling possible. It's a collaborative thing, more like a you're a whiny bitch thing. So I'm only going to read this one quote from the article, and I will leave the link for the article in the description down below, and you can read it yourself. But the one thing that I took away from this was his quote was, he says, as much as he says this is the way, that doesn't mean this is the only way. I find it fascinating playing with that. We don't know what he ends up being. He took his helmet off in a room full of people. And I just want to point out that scene was very weird. I mean, it felt very forced, in my opinion, that scene in that episode. So, I mean, it looked like they just reshot it after he threw his fit and then he came back. Like, they're all like, oh, okay, well, Pedro's back now, so we got to do a scene without his helmet on to please this big man baby. So the last thing that I want to point out is an article that was put out on February 12th, 2021. And it's done by Cosmic Book News. And the title for this is Pedro Pascal May Exit the Mandalorian Following Gina Carano. Now, this article is very good. Again, I will leave it in the description down below. But, after, we won't get into the Gina Carano thing because that doesn't matter to this story. But he did put out that he was... And I covered this. I'll leave a link to that video. But they did announce that he was going to be the main character for the show, The Last of Us, the TV show for HBO Max. Now, he will be playing Joel. Now, one thing that it says in this article, and it said in the article done by Deadline, was that it said that this show, for him being on The Last of Us, this will be The Last of Us has him in first position. Now, what that means in TV show talk is that this show will take priority over The Mandalorian. So if he wants to, if The Last of Us needs to film on November 24th, and Mandalorian wants to film on November 24th, he has to film The Last of Us first. And that means The Mandalorian has to change up all their stuff. And this is for Warner Brothers and Disney. So Warner Brothers is The Last of Us 2. Disney's got The Mandalorian. So it's rivaling studios. And it's very interesting that he would pick The Last of Us to be his first position. It also, in that article, which you cannot find, you can only go online to check it out and find it. But it says, in the article, it says, he will... it says the first time they printed the Deadline article, it said the series I hear he could continue on the Star Wars series, where he is used to sparingly because of the premise of his character. Now, that was the first one. It said he could continue, but somebody got over there and was like, hey, change it. Because then they changed to this. They said, best drama series, he will continue on the Star Wars series. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like how at first it was he could continue, and now it is he will continue. Maybe Disney got their little fingers in Deadline because, they're knuckle deep in them. Because Deadline, they're all like, oh, we're getting all this hot tea and these scoops from Disney. We better do what the master says. And they're saying, hey, dance, monkey, dance. And they danced. They danced so hard. So I think with all this evidence, I don't believe that this is the thing. Victor Van Doomcock said it, and I think that this is the best thing that is going to happen if he does come back. And I don't think he will come back for season 3. He will only do voiceover work. He will not be wearing the outfit. If he does take off his helmet, it'll be a couple of scenes, and they'll film it. They'll film it like in a day, and it'll be forced, like the one scene was in that episode with Bill Burr. It'll be forced, and it'll just be awkward and weird. So let's chalk this up to another win for Grace Randolph. I mean, she's totally right. She's right. You're just so naive and so unintelligent that you don't want to admit it to yourself. So I'm sorry. Here's the evidence for you. Okay. So in conclusion, I have to say this. Now, I know that Grace Randolph is the queen of hot takes, and that's one thing that I love about her. I love her hot takes. I love how she likes, like, you know, getting kind of like sometimes getting under people's skin. I don't know if she likes that or not, but I like it. And I love how she kind of like, you know, pokes the bear a little bit and everything. And I like how she's unapologetic, gosh, if I could talk, unapologetic for her honesty. I think that she's very honest about her opinion, and that's what you have to do, especially in this kind of game. And I think she does a good job. And yes, she can be a little edgy sometimes, but sometimes that comes out she comes out with very strong opinions, and sometimes they're out of left field. You know, I mean, sometimes though they're right, her opinions. I mean, you know, it's fine. But I think that it's very interesting and it's very entertaining to watch her. And I love watching her analysis, and I think that it's thorough. And even if you disagree with her conclusions, the whole point of this video is to point out all the times that I could find, or that I was, you know, willing to find, because I there's so much to go through that it's like, hey, I only have so many hours in the day. But find out that Grace Randolph was right. She was right. And you may not want to admit it, but if you don't like Grace Randolph, listen, you have a character flaw. I get it. Not all of us are perfect, you know, like me, but you have a character flaw and you need to fix that. You need to deprogram that in your mind, and you need to fix yourself. So I would say, watch Grace Randolph. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. If you don't, I get it. You're, you know, like I said, you have a character flaw. And but leave all your comments in that section down below, especially the hate ones. I love those. They make me happy. Yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next video. You guys have a good day. Bye.